Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is Sunblast. This game was ported over from the Wii. It is $2.95 for its promotional period up until April 9th. I'm going to do this footage a little bit different. This is not going to be in-game commentary because I really want to talk to you guys about design. In particular, game design. This game I'm not going to recommend. I'm going to put that right out there right now. It's not a game that I would recommend at any point, but there's something about it in which it makes me question the decision-making process on the developer side. And I want to bring that up because I think it was fundamentally flawed, but not only fundamentally flawed, it was just sort of something that could have been easily fixed. Now, this is a shoot 'em up with a weird perspective. As you can see here, we've got a sort of, going into the distance, sort of kind of the runner aspect, but it's a shooter. Now, one thing you may notice is that it seems I'm having a little bit of trouble controlling this thing. Well, it's done with the arrow keys, but the thing is that, look at the perspective. Look at how the rocks are coming at you. Can you necessarily understand where the rocks are coming at any given time and what point it's coming at you at? To a certain extent, maybe if you play it a bunch, but I still get deceived by how the rocks come at me and how they are actually being fired at me. That's partly because of the fact that it's just got that weird perspective. You can't really place your ship on the same level as everything else. You've got that sort of XY axis stuff being thrown off at that point. Now, again, I mentioned that this game was on the Wii. Well, take a look at exactly what I'm talking about here. Alright, I wanted to bring this back into the actual Wii portion of it because Sunblast is designed for this guy right here. And I want to show you exactly why. I'm going to put this video on in the background. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now, you see the movement of the actual ship on the screen. This, the Wii remote, it makes sense. I point the controller at the screen, and the ship would move based on where I'm pointing it at and where to fire, aka the A button at this point. So the thing is that with the other controls, it doesn't make a lot of sense with the actual arrow keys because you don't have a real understanding what you're pointing at. However, here is based on my position on the screen. It may not exactly be 100%, but you'll get an idea of where you need to go at every point as opposed to the relative position in which you would do it with the arrow keys. Now, why do I make a big deal about this? Because obviously there isn't anything on the computer side that would be able to simulate this, right? I'm being facetious there because of course there is. A mouse. You see, these two are relatively the same. You point it somewhere on the screen and you click it. Simple enough. So why not implement the controls like this? Now granted, you do have one extra thing you would have to do there because the relative position isn't as easy. Here, pointing at the screen, this is based on a different axis at that point. It's a whole different system. But you put a reticule on the screen, simple enough. Pretty simple. In fact, the reticule could be the ship itself. Alright. Easy. But instead, they chose to use this. Now that's where I have a problem with the design. These two? Not very similar now, are they? But these two make a lot of sense. Game design. Simple enough. Back to the video. You see, that's the major problem with the game. The fact of the matter is that the perspective doesn't make sense with the keyboard and controls that they've implemented. Again, mouse would have been perfect at this situation. It would have still been a little bit weird if it didn't have a reticule at that point, because you're not necessarily pointing the mouse at the screen, but it would have been a lot closer just due to relative size of the screen. The fact that, okay, I know how much I need to move the mouse for a certain portion of it. The thing is, it's easier to get that preciseness of the mouse rather than the preciseness of a keyboard at that point. Now, talking about the game otherwise, it's very, very basic at this point. It's, you got some power-ups, you have basic enemies, you have a basic health bar at that point. Some of the game design elements, though, I do have to question as well. Level design, for example. Take a look at the level design as we just completed that level. You would have never seen that in a game like Star Fox or any other shooter. What am I talking about? Well, remember how a storyline is supposed to have a climax. So in the idea of a storyline, you have a climactic point where you build tension, climactic point, and then a resolution. The same can be said about shoot 'em ups in video games in terms of difficulty curve. The fact of the matter is that your level shouldn't be the same throughout the entire level. You should have a climactic point at the end. It doesn't necessarily have to be a boss fight. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a specific, cutscene or anything like that. What it needs to be, though, is something that ramps up the action, that ramps up whatever your game's strength is. And here, it doesn't understand that. It does it once with a boss fight. That's about it. But here, I'm just dodging things. I'm just dodging things over and over again. There is no real tension. There is no real portions to what exactly is going on here. So, again, game design-wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense. To me, what this game showed was maybe a fundamental control of the Wii, and the fact of the matter is that you had a good understanding of it. Again, this is a game that made sense on its platform. It made sense on what is the Wii in itself. Now, granted, you can hook up a Bluetooth controller and you can hook up, a receiver and get it, working on the computer. Their Linux version can also do that as well. But why would I want to play this over any other shooter at this point? Why take the effort of porting it when you didn't make part of the strengths of what the platform that you're going to is part of your system design? I mean, okay, granted, this is a cheaper game. It's $3, but there are a lot of good games out there nowadays that are $3. There are many games on sale, or games that people missed at this point, games that I try to highlight that you can pick up for $3. So why should I spend $3 on this game rather than a game, let's say, like, I don't know, $3 that I can spend on the Humble Bundle this week with Unepic, with, I think it's La Lucina. I may have gotten that wrong. Games like that. There is none. And that's the biggest problem with the game has. There's no reason to buy this over anything else. Game designers need to understand that you need a hook. You need something to sort of uniquely set yourself away from your competition. I mean, this perspective, you can say that, but then if that perspective is what your strength is, then work towards it. Don't go against it, which in this PC port, it did. Alright, this is Dragnix signing out. I hope you understand what I'm talking about in terms of this game design, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Also, never play this game. Don't bother. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have a chance, leave some feedback and comments below. If you liked the video, hit that like button. And if you want more content like this, hit that subscribe button. This is Dragnix signing off, hoping that gaming brings as much fun to you as it does for me.